Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Here they come.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Keep coming in. We're going to give it a few more seconds to let all of you guys jump into the session here, and then I will turn it over to these students, these amazing students, to introduce themselves. Welcome to the Balancing Your Academics and Everything Else student panel. All right. Once that number slows down a bit, maybe we'll get started. Okay. How are you guys feeling, panelists? Are you guys feeling good?
We're excited.
Ready to do this?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so I'll introduce myself, but I'm going to turn my camera off here in a second. I'm Mark Foncannon. I am Director of Student Recruitment and Career Development for the College of Letters and Science here at UC Davis. I've been here a long time. I've been here almost 20 years, but I was also a student back a long time ago in the college. So I graduated from the College of Letters and Science in psychology, actually. Actually had a class in this building right after it was built. It was built when I was a student here. And now my office is in that building. So that's kind of one surprising thing for me to share. Karen, why don't you take it away? But before you do, actually, let me remind everybody who is here on the session to, if you have questions, use the Q&A feature down at the bottom. We don't want to be talking at you. We want to be talking with you. So if you have questions for our student experts here on how to balance your academics and get involved in other things on campus, make sure you submit your questions in the Q&A. And then if you see questions that you like or questions that you have that someone has already typed, you can use the thumbs up button, and then we'll be able to address those as they come in. All right, Karen, why don't you take it away?
All right, thank you, Mark. Hi, everyone. My name is Karen. I am a fourth-year psych major, double minoring in aging adult development and managerial econ. I come from East Bay Area, so if you're from like Pleasanton, Livermore, what's good? I also am involved in some things on campus, so I'm involved in, I played Club Ultimate Frisbee. I was involved in a research study involving autism. I'm also now starting something new, a different research study about self-governing communities. So that's pretty neat that I'm able to do that virtually. And a favorite thing that I like about UC Davis is its community. A lot of people come together and a lot of people inspire each other and show compassion rather than like a very cutthroat, I have to like compete to get to the top kind of vibe. Everyone's very sharing and very caring at the same time. So yeah.
Awesome.
If Lucas, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm up next. Hi, my name is Lucas. I'm a sophomore physics major and philosophy minor. I'm from Santa Cruz, California, which is where I am right now at home. I am involved in a lot of different things on campus. Last year, I was involved in a NASA engineering design competition because I was studying aerospace engineering, and we actually were a finalist team that went and presented at NASA in Virginia. I've been involved in a space and satellite system club that designs small CubeSats. I have been involved in some political clubs. I was a big part of Aggies for Bernie this year, which is a big part of my time. I work on campus. I'm a student assistant for Mark, actually. And some of my favorite things about Davis are the people are really nice here, and it's surprisingly easy in my experience to kind of get to interact with professors and get involved in cool projects. One of the advisors on the NASA design team that I had last year was a NASA astronaut. So I've already got to like meet an astronaut and hang out with them. And it's a very accessible place to kind of be and interact with professors and get involved in stuff. I think next up is Kimberly.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kimberly. First and foremost, congratulations on getting accepted to UC Davis. That's super exciting. So I'm a fourth year at UC Davis. My major is pharmaceutical chemistry and I'm minoring in education. And some of the things that I've been involved in at UC Davis are I've been doing research, biochemistry research for a couple of years now. I've gone between labs, so I've tried out different labs. I've also done an internship, a research internship at UCLA over the summer. And currently I'm also involved as a College of Letters and Science peer advisor. And I also just recently got accepted into a garden committee, part of a Knights Landing student-run clinic on campus that provides free clinic resources to a small community near UC Davis. And what else? Oh, and I'm also really big and involved with the Chicanx and Latinx community on campus. I myself, I'm Guatemalan American and I'm from Los Angeles. And so when I came to Davis, I really wanted to find a sense of community. And I've been involved with CALES, which is a Chicanx Latinx organization for students in STEM. And I'll throw it over to Sarah.
Thanks, Kimberly. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. A little bit about me. I am an international student from Indonesia. This is my fourth year at Davis. I transferred. So I did 2 years at community college first, and then I transferred here in 2018. I'm an economics major and psychology minor. What I'm involved with on campus, I'm a board associate at Davis Women in Business. This year, I'm a part of the organization team for a women's leadership conference called Own It, but we had to cancel because of COVID. However, we decided to change some plans and now it's going to be a virtual conference. So we're very excited for that. I was a global ambassador for the International Center here. So what we do is we mentor international students and transfer students who are coming to Davis their first year. They don't know all these resources and they're just trying to get used to UC Davis life. And lastly, I'm a peer advisor for the College of Letters and Science with Kimberly and Karen and June. That's pretty much about me. I'm gonna toss it over to June now.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. My name is June, and I'm currently a second-year cognitive science major with an emphasis in neuroscience. So I'm from, same as Karen, East Bay in Hayward. And I think my favorite thing about UC Davis is how I'm able to participate in different research positions and as well as balancing my academics at the same time. I'm involved in 2 research labs. Both are about neuroscience and psychology. The first one is about, researching about human memory, and the second one is more about researching about attention, visual memory, and stuff like that. And other things I'm involved in I was involved in badminton club last year. So we have an official UC Davis badminton club here on campus. So we do tri-meets with other UCs. So we travel to LA and do tri-meets with UCLA and UC Santa Cruz from time to time. And then I'm also a peer advisor here at Davis. So same as Karen, Sarah, and Kimberly. And then I was going to be involved in a research position this summer. It's in the Department of Pathology and Lab Medicine, but it got canceled because of COVID-19, so that was a bummer. But I was super excited for that. But I look forward to more opportunities in the future.
Great, y'all. Thank you so much for introducing yourselves. So we seem to have some questions actually coming in right now. I'm going to start from the beginning. So any of y'all who wants to just jump in, what are some general tips on managing time since it is a quarter system?
That's a really good question. I don't think having a quarter system is very common. I know I came from a semester system straight out of high school. And even now in my fourth year, it still goes by really, really fast. But some of the tips that I would give you is get comfortable with Google Calendar. When you get your own UC Davis Gmail, you'll be able to have access to Google Calendar, and that's where I put all my assignments when they're due. I put all my classes in there. I also even like have an office hours calendar, so I can see when like office hours for my professors or the TAs are available. So I would bet on Google Calendar. That's one of my best friends. But yeah, anybody else want to share?
I can add on to that. So yeah, the quarter system is really fast paced. I mean, I come from a completely school system in Indonesia, and then I have to adjust to community college, which was a semester system, and then coming to UC Davis, which was a quarter. So all that adjustment, like the biggest tip for me is to write things down and have a list of what you need to do throughout the week. So what I do is I divide the whole week into small tasks. So just to see like what my progress is like. So Monday I have to finish question 1 of my problem set, and then the Tuesday question 2, and so on and so forth, so that I see my progress. Especially now that we're in quarantine and we can't physically go to class, it's easy to get sidetracked and forget like your deadlines. You know, I almost forgot that I have a midterm next week, but like just keep checking my Google Calendar, like Kimberly said, is also really helpful. So yeah, I mean, now that you have your UC Davis email, it's like now everything is going to be like connecting to one system. Most clubs, they use the UC Davis Gmail, where you can like integrate events and deadlines into the Google Calendar.
Great. Okay, so one of our more popular questions are now, what are some clubs that is very popular to join for pre-med students, since UC Davis does not have a pre-health program? Does anyone have anything to add to that?
I can try to answer that question. So I'm also a pre-med student, but I'm not really involved in any pre-health clubs, but I know a lot of fraternities and sororities, they are pre-health. So such as like, I think Phi DE, it's a co-ed fraternity for pre-med students, and a lot of pre-med students like to join that frat. And I think some other pre-health clubs are also like Red Cross. Like there's no specific like pre-med or pre-health clubs. I think those clubs are more for like-minded students who want to come together and share their perspectives on how to succeed. I think that's one of the common goals of all the clubs here at Davis. But for me, I think getting involved in the pre-health community, I started with my research position. So start with what you're interested in. I think it's a good way to begin your journey here at Davis.
I did want to add that I'm very familiar with like student-run clinics, and I know a lot of pre-med students join student-run clinics on campus, and there's several. So there's some of the popular. So I'm involved with the garden committee. That's a part of Knights Landing, and that itself is a clinic. There's also a clinic called Clínica Tepati that serves the underrepresented community in the Sacramento area. And there's a few other student-run clinics that each kind of like serve a specific type of community, but you can definitely find those clinics on campus, or look for them, I think on like the UC Davis like club or student organization website. And I'm also familiar with like the pre-pharmacy club. So there's several clubs out there that are geared towards like pre-med. I think it just depends what you're interested in. You can always find them online because there's so many clubs, like it's kind of hard to keep track of.
I also just want to mention, we have a health professions advising if you're looking into getting into, you know, the health field. You're going to talk with an academic counselor who's going to help you with your application and the process for applying to med school. If you want the website, it's hpa.ucdavis.edu.
Great, thank you all. Okay, another popular question we're having, I think it's really a comprehensive question of how can I get into internships, research, and work study? So if any of y'all can just pinpoint one of each, that'd be great.
Is this referring to internship on campus?
Take it as, yeah, maybe if you have experience off campus, just speak of it as that as well.
For me personally, because I am an international student, I can only work on campus, so I can talk about how to look for internships, research, work study on campus. I think the Internship and Career Center, the ICC, is a really great resource. There's like advisors there, peer advisors also, who can help you figure out and tell you about opportunities that we have on campus. And also a majority of the opportunities can be found on Facebook groups. Usually people just shout out here and there about opportunities they see or what they're a part of, and then that's how you get to know about these opportunities. For research, I don't have experience in that. Maybe someone else in the panel can talk about research.
I can talk about research a little bit. For research, I think the most common way is contacting professors of your class, because they're most likely the PI or principal investigator of that research lab. For me, I basically just went on the cognitive science webpage and searched for any research labs they have, and I just applied for the ones that I'm interested in. Or you can, like I said before, just reach out to professors during office hours and see what they have for you.
I did just want to add to June's point. I would say like emailing the professor, like which lab you're interested in, email the professor, and don't get discouraged if they don't reply the first time. They are really busy. Sometimes they might like overlook the email and forget to reply. So don't be afraid to like email them again and ask them about like if they have any research opportunities available.
Karen, I'm going to jump in here for a second.
Yes, go for it.
Lucas, do you want, since you work for me, do you want to talk about the process for finding the job that you have now as it relates to, the question is work study, but I think really that question is about how do I find a job on campus?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know much about work study, but I work for Mark, so I work in the College of Letters and Sciences now as a student assistant. I know that one of the kind of sample questions that we were looking at had to do with when you should be looking for work, and I think it kind of varies person to person. But for me, I didn't try to look for work for a lot of freshman year. You can start looking towards the end of the year. Handshake is the platform that I think a lot of on-campus jobs are kind of listed on. So when you want to look for jobs that are on campus or in certain departments, you go onto Handshake and you sign in with your UC Davis account. And not every, but most like campus jobs will be listed on Handshake. They have very straightforward requirements for like what year they want students to be in, what majors they're looking for, that sort of thing. And so I just kind of at the start of in fall quarter, I was trying to find a job. So I was looking through Handshake, and you can filter for like skill sets and things you're interested in, and then you can apply very easily through there. So I applied to a lot of things that had to do with outreach and social media and stuff like that, because I have a lot of experience working in clubs on campus for those sort of things. And so I ended up getting connected through Handshake to my current job, which is managing or helping to manage the Letters and Science Ambassadors program and helping around in Mark's office. So Handshake is a great resource for finding jobs on campus for sure.
And off campus too, actually.
Yes, Handshake, a lot of employees
Right.
or employers jump on that, and then you're able to just apply for it through there. It's pretty easy. It's an easy process. Okay, our next question is, how many organizations do you recommend for undergraduates to join?
It really depends on you as a student, how much you're able to juggle these commitments, because if you're a first year, I think going into a quarter system is going to be a challenge because it's really fast paced, like I said. So like, of course, you're coming to UC Davis for the academics and you still want to prioritize that. But if you're looking to join organizations, I would say take it one at a time and see how that contributes to your overall time management, because doing like 5 at once or like, multiple is going to be a lot on you. So I would maybe like for your first quarter, try to just focus on academics, see what that's like. And then the next following quarter, you can start to add clubs and commitments incrementally.
Yeah, I would agree that kind of adding on incrementally to see where you're at personally is a good idea. I started out pretty early on getting involved in Space and Satellite Systems Club, which was like a space engineering club. And I spent a lot of time doing that. And I also wanted to get involved in KDVS, which is our school's radio station. And I went to a lot of the trainings and stuff, but it ended up I came to a point where I had to decide like, okay, I'm spending a lot of time on academics and I'm spending a lot of time with this engineering club. So I had to kind of cut ties with the radio station and say like, okay, down the road in a couple of years, I might have an opportunity again to go work on that. But you kind of, incrementally add on. If things are too much, don't feel free to like save something for later. You have 4 years to get involved in stuff on campus.
Great, thank you. If any of y'all are familiar with the process of how can you join the UC Davis Student Council? Not too sure. I'm thinking
do they mean ASUCD?
Yeah, I believe ASUCD. So I'm thinking if you are interested in joining the ASUCD, it would be more about going onto their website, and they do have vacancies through that way. I believe it's like a yearly process, not a yearly process, but you can only enter into the council during certain times. So I would check that website out a lot more. Okay. Our next question is if you have friends of or thinking about joining, but how much of a time commitment is a frat or sorority?
Personally, I'm not in a frat or a sorority, but I have a friend who is in Phi DE, so a pre-med frat. I think it changes throughout the year. So if it's your first year entering the frat, you should treat it as a 5-unit class. So that's how much. So like I think my friend was spending a lot of time during her first quarter into the club or into the frat because she needs to be interviewing professors and pre-med students like regularly every day. So it's a lot of time commitment for sure for her case, but I'm not sure about other frats or sororities.
I agree. I have also, sorry, I'm not sure if other panelists have some experience with that. I'm just jumping in, but I believe I have a friend also in a fraternity that's in honors program or honors fraternity. She also spent a lot of time doing that as well. So if it is quite a commitment, I would make sure that if you're committed to it and if you have the resources and like money for it, go for it. You do make some connections through that method, but it's really up to you how you feel about how would you want to make your college experience like that. Cool. Let's see. What's the difference between a work study and just getting a part-time job? Would you suggest the first years get a job or wait until our second year? I think we touched briefly about it, but we can speak directly on it.
So let's see. So work study, I think, I don't know how to describe, but So work study is like usually given to a specific student or students who, I think it's a way of like the government sort of kind of granting you specific amount of money so you can get a job. I'm not quite familiar with like the details, but certain like students that fall under a certain category will get work study, and you'll be familiar with that if through financial aid. So financial aid will send you either a message or a certificate and let you know if you're eligible for work study. And if you're eligible, then you can give your like employer a work study, this like work study certificate or work study paper, and then your employer will fill it out. And then that's kind of that. But you don't need work study in order to get a job. It's just, I guess it's a way for some students to get paid. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if like Mark, you want to add on to that?
I was just going to jump in for a second. Work study is definitely a financial aid award. It's a type of financial aid award, and it's basically it's kind of like a subsidy that allows employers to employ students and get money from the government to pay the student, basically. So it is a financial aid award. Some jobs on campus are only offered through work study, but most are not. So in other words, you do not have to have work study to apply for most jobs on campus. I hope that helped.
Thank you, Mark. And as for like that second question, I think it definitely depends. I think Sarah and Lucas covered that, where it depends, like you should know yourself and add things incrementally. So if you feel like you're able to handle a job or an internship, then definitely go ahead and add that maybe in your second quarter. Or if you feel like you're still not really you don't have the grasp of the quarter system, I would say like wait until your second quarter. So this is definitely like a person by person basis. I personally started working my second quarter of my freshman year, but that was because I felt like it would help me manage my time better. And I thought I could like add on a job with my academics as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna add on to that. For me, when I transferred, it took me a whole year, just in my junior year, to just get used to the academics, because you won't understand how fast the quarter system is until you're in it and you experience it for yourself. So then eventually in my senior year, that's when I picked up everything, all the clubs and the commitments that I joined. But yeah, it's just, you have to experience it first and then just getting used to it slowly.
Thank you. Okay, next question. How do you prevent yourself from overbooking yourself during freshman year? I think we also touched a little bit about that, but maybe just another brief answer on it. If Lucas or June would like to add to that.
I would just say, like we mentioned, like adding things on incrementally for me is helpful. Like start with kind of like your academics, and then if there's like one particular club that you're interested in and they kind of sucks you in and that you want to work with, you know, participate in the club. And if you still feel like you have extra time, you can start adding other things. If you go and check out a lot of clubs and make commitments to getting involved all at once, then it can get kind of overwhelming. So I would just say take things kind of a quarter at a time.
Yeah, I agree with Lucas about that. Personally, I started doing stuff other than academics beginning of my second quarter of my freshman year, so winter quarter. So I'd say try to consider your interest as a student, like what you want to be involved in, and don't participate in like clubs or other stuff just because you think it's going to check off your box for your resume. I think just consider what you like as a person and your priorities as a student. Like I think academics always comes first before everything else, but it varies from person to person. Yeah.
And also it's your first year, so you want to enjoy it, definitely. That's how you don't overbook yourself, is to just find things that you enjoy and go about it from there. Actually, Karen, before that, I wanted to address the question about Own It. Somebody asked to me personally. So Own It is a women's leadership conference where we get women from all fields, and then they talk about their career journey, they share some advice. It's open to anyone. It's gonna happen in May. So if you want more information, you can check the Instagram for Davis Women in Business. It's just at Davis Women in Business, and then we'll have more information there. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Sarah. There's actually also a question directed to Lucas. How did you get involved with NASA? Was it a large time commitment?
Yeah, I didn't really get directly involved with NASA. I mean, there are NASA internships that you can get that a lot of people who are doing like physics or engineering often try to apply for every year. I applied this year and I applied last year. But the main way that I got involved in general with the NASA design competition and everything is through clubs. So one of the clubs that looked interesting to me at the beginning of freshman year was Space and Satellite Systems, which is a aerospace engineering club. They're focused on building a CubeSat totally by undergrads here at UC Davis. So they have a contract with NASA, which is really cool, to launch our satellite that we're gonna build as a club, I think in spring of next year. So I would say, like in general, if you're interested in getting involved in NASA or any sort of like specific organization, you know, look for clubs that are doing things in those fields, and you'll find that a lot of the people in those clubs have already had internships and have connections. When I did my design competition, I was working with someone that had already had a lot of internships at NASA and at JPL, and you get to know a lot of people in these clubs who have connections to these places to help you with internships. You get to know professors that have connections, like the advisor for the project I was on was a NASA astronaut, so he wrote me a letter of rec for internships. So just getting involved in clubs that look interesting to you and have these sort of connections, you'll naturally find like people in those clubs have connections and can help you get internships and help you get involved. As for the time commitment, it wasn't that bad. It was basically like once a week or twice a week, we'd all meet as a team. It was like 10 of us. We were working on designing a Martian greenhouse for this competition. And we'd work on writing a paper and talking out issues and making little prototypes and models. And we got chosen to be finalists. So in the spring, we had to fly out to Langley, Virginia to present, which took time out of finals week actually, because on a quarter system, like if you have to travel anywhere, it often like messes up your schedule. And that's definitely something to consider. Like I had a pretty stressful midterm season that quarter because I had to leave for that. But you know, just talk to your professors. You can always work something out. You know, it wasn't too bad of a time commitment. It was definitely worth it because like the paper we wrote might get published by the American like Civil Engineering Society next year. So it's worth it to put in some time to do some of these extracurriculars.
Thank you for answering. Okay, another popular question we're getting is, any tips for getting an internship or into a research lab? What are they looking for in students?
So I'll add on to this question. Any tips? So I think we covered this a little bit, but we did mention about if you're interested in a specific area, then look, you can search up like UC Davis, biochemistry labs, and there will be like a listing of the staff, or I guess of the professors that are doing research in that area. And then you can go through their bios and see what kind of research they're doing. And from there, I would say email them. Just email them and ask them if they have any internship opportunities or any laboratory opportunities available for undergrads. And they're mostly looking for you to be curious and also interested in their actual research. So I think a good tip that I heard was to, in your email, like mention something about the research that you found interesting. That way it's not just a generic email, and it's an email saying I'm specifically interested in this part of your lab, and that catches their attention. Another tip I would say to getting involved with research that may be more structured and may be better for you is there's different programs on campus. So there's specific programs such as like the Biological Undergraduate Scholars Program or the McNair's Research Program or the Murals Research Program. And these programs allow students to get into research, but it's a lot more structured. So you have opportunities to build like your presenting skills, your like research skills, and they have like certain conferences available for you. So that's another way to get involved with research.
Great, thank you. Let's see, do you recommend living in a living learning community, and does it help? Any of y'all have lived?
Living learning community meeting?
So living learning community is like on campus in the first year housing. So Segundo, Tercero, and Quarto, they have like these specific like themes of like more business oriented or honors oriented or like pre-health oriented.
Yeah, I think last year I lived in Tercero. I think I remember I was in an all-girls floor, and they're mostly pre-health. Like, I don't know if we actually want to be in this community, but we all happen to be, like, a lot of my neighbors are pre-health majors. So I think it helps a bit because you're mostly taking the same class during your first year with people who are also pre-med or pre-health. But not only for pre-health though. Like, I'm not sure about other communities, what other communities there are in in the dorms, but it definitely helped me a lot.
Great, thank you. What's school spirit like at Davis? What are some of your favorite events that happen throughout the year?
Picnic day, if it wasn't going to be canceled this quarter. There are a lot. There's always events for everyone, but I think we can all agree we love picnic day. Whole Earth, is that what it's called? Whole Festival is also one of them. So there's just gonna be a bunch of food trucks and people just gathering together. It's a bunch of fun. Can't think of any other like big events that we have. Do you guys?
Yeah, there's also La Gran Tardeada, which is a Latinx like sort of gathering. It's like all the like Latinx or Chicanx student organizations like all come together on a specific day. And they put on like they have a bunch of food, they have a lot of performances. So it's like a really nice place for like community. They also have the powwow, which is like a Native American gathering, and that's really nice. Like they also have a lot of vendors there, a lot of food vendors as well. Can't remember. There's a lot of events. There's also like a 5K run that UC Davis itself puts on. Can't remember any other ones off the top of my head.
There's also like a research conference happening, I think every year in February or March, like yeah, sometime, like somewhere during that time. But you basically just like mostly research assistants. They present their research, so they basically just make like a poster or present about their maybe senior's honors thesis. So it's just a way to show your achievements as a student or as an RA.
And as for school spirit, I would say like everyone's like super proud to be at UC Davis. A lot of us are we're very kind and empathetic people. We like love to gather and go to like, I don't know, we'll like go on bike rides, like that's fun for some people. Or there's also like the farmers markets. We'll just like meet there and like hang out for a few hours. And we also like challenge each other. It's not like a very like competitive space, but it is a space where you can like definitely challenge yourself and grow as well.
I think that's very true. Like it's enough challenge that you wanna push yourself and get better every day, but it's not to a point where you feel like you're the imposter syndrome, where you feel like you don't fit in. Everyone's so friendly and welcoming. I mean, like me having to adjust from a whole new country to like in the US was hard, but being in Davis made it a lot easier because they wanted to get to know me. They're open to everyone, including professors, faculty, everyone.
Great. I'm just going to address another point really quick about it seems like sports scenes is also tied in with school spirit. There's a huge like atmospheric of like energy and enthusiasm coming in Davis. I often go to sports games of like basketball, football, soccer, whatever. I actually got this t-shirt from a basketball game. So there's a lot of things, a lot of cool swag you can pull through with going to these games. We go to playoff championship games a lot of the time, at least my 4 years at Davis so far. So school spirit is very like top notch over at Davis. A question that we have is, what's a favorite study spot, and what is something you wish you knew or did freshman year? If we could start with Lucas.
I don't know that I can really answer this very well, because my favorite study spot is just, I work really well at home. So I just hang out and listen to music at home, or like if I try to work out times in my day when we're like, in non-quarantine situations, when I go, in a regular quarter, if I have time in between classes, I'll like sit around on the quad or something like that and listen to music and do work there, because I don't want to go all the way back to my apartment. But generally, I just like to hang out in my room and listen to music.
Once the campus reopens, definitely visit the Arboretum. I mean, I don't know, some people might not focus because it's just like the Wi-Fi is kind of bad there, but it's very peaceful. You're surrounded by nature. I love it. It's one of my favorite chilling spots I mean, you can do your readings there. Yeah, it's great.
So I'm like super fidgety and I feel like I always, like I can't stay too long in a specific place. So I'm always trying to find new study spots. So I alternate between different places. So I'll go to the UC Davis library. That's a specific spot I'll go. Sometimes I go to, there's a lot of like student centers. So I'll also go to specific student centers. So I'll go to like the Native Nest, which is like the Native American Center, or I'll go to the Chicanic Center. They have a lot of like tables there and like a study space there. And they also have fridges in there if you want to store your food, if you're not going to go home for a while. And sometimes I'll also study like at the engineering halls. Like they just have like tables and chairs there. And engineers tend to like study like all day for some reason. So they're always like up at night. So if you ever have to study kind of late, I would say like the engineering halls are a good place to go to because there's usually going to be students in those halls still studying.
We also have the 24-hour library room for that.
At the beginning of the school year, are office hours competitive since everyone wants to talk to the professors?
I think it really depends on the class. If it's a big class, I think there will be a lot of people at office hours, but then they eventually like die down. But if you keep coming to the office hours, like the professor is gonna remember you.
Also, professors are not the only one you can reach out to, like TAs. We often have TAs who work for professors, and they're most, like maybe for chem class, they're also working in a research lab for some professor. So if you can't like get access to the professor because he or she is too popular, then just maybe go to TA's office hour and just chat with them. You never know what you'll get out of them.
I forgot the second part of the question, sorry, of the previous one. What is something you wish you knew or wish you did during your freshman year?
I would say I wish I got out there more. Like I'm sort of like an introvert and I was very shy my freshman year. So I was really scared of like going out there and like making friends and like, what if it's a little weird or people don't want to talk to me? But it's like totally the opposite of that. Like everyone's really friendly. And I would say like there's a lot of like freshman events as well. And a lot of clubs are trying to recruit a lot of freshmen. So I would say check out like different events that are going on. You never know like what you'll find. I mean, it's also a good way to like get out there and see what's out there in Davis.
I don't know if I count as a freshman, but I mean, I think definitely just if you're able and if you think you're capable of adding more commitments to just join clubs, because I thought like, oh, I need to be like have my 1 year at Davis to be able to consider to join a club, because I thought like, oh, they want people with experience, but that's not true. They're just so welcoming to everyone. So if you're new and you're interested in a club and you think you can handle that commitment, like definitely join in. So you don't miss out, because like as a transfer, I only have 2 years of Davis. So like my first year was just adapting, and then my senior year was like when I gathered everything together. And yeah, probably should have spread it all out better, but definitely join clubs.
I do want to add that like clubs also have like a different level of commitment depending on like the nature of them. Like some clubs are just like clubs where you might go for an hour a week, or they might be 2 hours a week, where you're just it's kind of a place for like students to come together with like-minded interests. Other clubs you might have like an actual position on as a member, so that might be a little bit more work, say if you're like the treasurer of the club. So that might require a little bit more time. So it all depends, and sometimes you can check out different clubs at the same time and just like go for like their general meeting and see if you like it, if the vibe fits with you. You don't necessarily like have to stay the whole time. So yeah, there's different levels of time commitments for clubs.
Great, thank you. So are study abroad programs recommended, or do any of you have study abroad experiences?
I can talk about this. Last summer, when we were in quarantine, I did the Writers in Greece program. So it's UWP Upper Division Writing 101. So the whole month from August to September, we were in Greece and we were just writing about Greek food, Greek people. It was amazing. Highly, highly recommend study abroad. Not only do you get to travel and go with like UC Davis students, you get to like tick off your, you know what to call it, university requirements. UWP 101 is one of the College of Letters and Science requirements, so I got to do that and travel to Greece, which is great. And we have a global affairs center where they help you with like planning your trip and figuring out the whole logistics. So yeah.
Thank you. What is the workload like if you have both a major and minor? Maybe all.
I have a major and minor. I guess I could talk about that. I think it really depends on what the major and minor are. I decided to pick up a philosophy major because I switched from aerospace into physics at the beginning of this year. And so I have to catch up a little bit in the physics courses before I can do upper division work. So I have a lot of kind of extra space this year while I'm catching up for my upper division classes. And I had already taken some philosophy classes freshman year and I was interested in the topic. And so now I need to kind of fill space. So for me, having tacked on a philosophy minor, it's not that big of a deal. Like I just have like 1 or 2 philosophy classes per quarter and I'll be done by next quarter with the whole minor. It's only like 5 upper division classes. If you start a minor late, it can be harder because you have to fit it in with everything else and scheduling can be a nightmare. If you have an intensive major, like I started in aerospace and it was disappointing just being so restricted. That's like a really unit intensive major. So my advisors were pretty much just like against the idea of doing a minor unless you really have a solid plan. So it really depends on like the unit load of the major you're in, if you've already taken the stuff for the minor, and like how much space you have in your schedule. So I would just look at like making a plan for the next couple of years. And if you have a lot of empty space and you feel like you can add on another class per quarter, it's usually not that bad to tack on a minor, but it depends.
Also, this is a good time to plug in that we have peer advisors and professional academic counselors for each major. I mean, we are advisors at the College of Letters and Science, so they'll gladly help you figure out, you know, your academic plans for the rest of the 4-year.
And about the minor, like not everybody knows, like I guess like I'm doing an education minor and I didn't start thinking about that until last year, which was my 3rd year. So my 4th year, I'm gonna be staying a 5th year. So I'm been doing the coursework for the education minor this year, my 4th year, and then I'll be finishing it up in the 5th year. So it's not as intensive as a major. And you can add it on like later in your career, like if you find a certain interest in something else.
Okay. If any of you changed majors, did you find it difficult to catch up to the requirements?
I think similarly to the minor question, it really depends on what major you're in, what major you're switching to, what year you're in when you switch. I was feeling a lot of pressure freshman year because I was trying to kind of decide if I wanted to switch into physics or not. And now that I've changed, it's not like I don't have to catch up that much. I kind of just have to do the intro series this year, and then their upper division classes are already kind of meant to be for your 2 upper division years. So for me, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But if I switched later and I already had all these units in aerospace, I'd probably have to tack on an extra 2 quarters or a year. And so I would just, you know, like make those decisions early if you can and make a plan for it. If you're going to make that decision, talk to your advisors about what you need to do.
Great, thank you. Let's see, let's talk about a general question of how is balancing academics and work, study, or part-time jobs been for you throughout the quarter?
So like one of the best things about working at the College of Letters and Science is that I we get to choose like how many hours we want to work. So it depends on your job. Like some jobs will allow you to choose how many hours you want to work, and other jobs are more of a fixed amount of hours. So that's up to you, like what you're looking for, and if you can like do a certain amount of hours. So I like that about the peer advising job, where I was able to be flexible. Like one quarter, if I feel like I have more time, I'll add more hours. If I feel like I'm busy the next quarter, then I'll like decrease my hours. But managing that is kind of like you kind of do a self check-in, and you want to see if like the next quarter, what classes you're taking, and if like the intensity of the classes, and kind of balance that with like how many hours you're going to be working, or how many hours you're going to be dedicating to clubs or internships.
Yeah, I think it varies for each job, like for peer advisor and some research assistant jobs, positions, they're paid. So they're considered like a job as well. So they let you choose your hours. So for me, I like to, like what Kimberly said, I like to consider my workload for that specific quarter. So if I have a very heavy workload, like a lot of STEM classes, then um, I would avoid taking on too many hours. And for jobs that have fixed amount of hours, like I know like people who work in the DC, and I think the markets in the dorms, they have fixed hours, so it's not that flexible. So I would be more careful when you're choosing, like when you're trying to balance your mate balance your units and your job together.
Thank you. Just to add on to that question, about how many hours per day or per weekend do you normally study? Or maybe how's it different from your high school life?
That's a good question. I think it varies. Like if I have a midterm coming up the following week, then that prior weekend, I'm gonna be putting in more time to study. And honestly, like procrastination is real. So sometimes I do procrastinate, and I'll have to take the weekend, and like I won't do anything fun, or I'll take breaks. But for the most part, I spend like the time studying. Maybe sometimes it's like it might be like maybe 5 hours a day on the weekend. Some weekends I don't really do a lot of studying. So it really depends like what's coming up the following weekend. Like if I have one midterm, if I have two midterms, or if I don't have any midterms. But regularly, like during the week, I prefer to do most of my studying then. So after my classes, so say I have like two classes during a specific day, I would prefer to like go over the material that same day or the next day, so I don't fall behind with the material. So that's usually how I keep track of studying. I like to do it during the week instead of during the weekends, but it all differs for each person.
Great, thank you. What's one thing you found most challenging about your life at UC Davis?
I mean, it kind of goes with the theme of the panel. Balancing can be hard, and I think one of the things that was hard for me coming to terms with college life and having to balance everything was the fact that like I had to make decisions about what I wasn't going to participate in, which was really difficult. I went into the school very interested in getting involved in like I said, the radio station and things like that. And sometimes you have to make decisions where you choose not to get involved in things, and it can feel bad to like not be involved in something that looks really cool to you. And that's kind of difficult to adjust to, but you just kind of have to learn that you can take things a year at a time or a quarter at a time, and hopefully there'll be an opportunity at some point. But it is hard to kind of like find that balance and give up certain things for me.
I think for me, it's the competitiveness. I don't know about the rest of the panel, but when I first transferred, it was really hard to feel like I'm getting adjusted to the information and the lectures because everything was so fast. And you're at the like top public university in the US, everyone is so smart. You feel like, oh my gosh, everyone's getting the lectures, like I'm falling behind. But it's really just about getting adjusted to the pace. Like it's gonna take a while, but you'll be fine. You gotta accept it. I mean, you're here, you know? So yeah.
I'm seeing some more course-specific questions like how was OChem or like the hard sciences? If any of y'all are thinking about the MCAT, is there any help for that? Or what kind of resources do you utilize on campus for your academic support?
I think Kimberly can answer that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my major is pharmaceutical chemistry. Initially I came in as an environmental toxicology major, but either way I was taking the prerequisite courses, which was general chemistry, general biology, and the calculus series. And it was really difficult for me. Like I had never taken calculus in high school, never did AP calculus. So it was the first time taking calculus. I was finding it really hard. And what I did was I went to tutoring. There's like tutoring resources on campus. There's like a specific space. I think they host these hours in the library now. And there's just a bunch, they hire like students who have taken these classes and who did well to tutor you. And that's where I spent a lot of my time for like both chemistry and for calculus. I would just go sit in the tutoring offices and like do my homework. And if I ran into a problem, then it was like super easy to just like raise my hand and get the help. And I also went to a lot of TA office hours for chemistry. Like I was like super religious about like going to TA office hours because I was like super scared that I wouldn't do well in chemistry and calculus. So I took advantage of that like my first and second year. So I would say office hours, tutoring resources are super duper helpful for the STEM courses. As for OChem, that was also a very challenging series in my experience. And I also like did the tutoring. There's not just like tutoring by like your own peers, but there's also graduate students who have like tutoring resources. And the professors also have office hours for you. But even forming like student groups and studying together is very helpful because you'll have like the same homework or you might have the same problem. So you'll go over like the same material together and work through it. Because sometimes you don't have the time to go to tutoring or to go to specific office hours because of a time conflict. So getting together with students is also very, very helpful.
Karen, it looks like we may have time for maybe one more question. What do you think?
Mark, there was one question about work study and interest. Do you think you can answer that?
Work study.
It repeated twice, so I just wanted to.
Oh, yes. No, work study, it's not necessarily even something that you get paid necessarily. It's not like a grant or a loan. It basically is an award that you earn when you work. So it's kind of like, getting paid, but through a federal grant. So no, it's not a loan. There are no loans associated with work study. So thank you for bringing that up. There were a couple of questions about study abroad, maybe in the last minute or two. Did any of you get a chance to study abroad or maybe plan to study abroad or have done any research on that?
I did. And Kimberly, you too?
I haven't had the chance to go yet, but I was planning to go this summer, but that one got canceled. But I am planning to go in the fall quarter. So I don't know if it'll get canceled, but I'm specifically planning to go to this Latinx health internship in Mexico. And it's like a whole quarter long. And you learn about like health disparities and like just the health field. So I was like looking into so many different types of study abroad programs, but there's so many out there. Like there's specific internship ones. There's also like to fulfill like certain requirements for your major or for your college. Like I know for the chemistry major, there's like pharmaceutical chemistry course that you can take in Taiwan. And that's also a quarter long. There's some programs that are just for the summer, some programs that are just like a few weeks, like 6 weeks or 2 weeks. But we do have a whole like study abroad office, and they definitely help you in finding the program that's right for you.
Awesome. Okay, I know we're just about out of time, but there are some questions also about housing. For those of you who lived on campus, do you want to just really, really quickly talk about your experience living on campus?
For me, I like living in Tercero. So I think the main difference for me for Tercero and Segundo, Tercero is more modern looking. You see a lot more colors there. For me, I like Tercero because it's very close to the classes that I take. But for Segundo, I know a lot of people like Segundo because it's close to the Arc, so you get more access to the gym, so it's very close. But it really depends on, what you like as a person as well.
Segundo has the best dining common, people say.
Although I've heard Latitude might be moving up.
This is the new one, yeah.
Yeah.
But in Tercero, you're near the cows. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe you can de-stress there, but the smell might be a bit too much.
You don't really smell the cows.
I never had a problem with the cow smell. I never smelled it that much, and I liked being near them. It's cool.
Yeah, same here. It was kind of nostalgic for me because it reminds me of Guatemala. So it was a plus for me.
Awesome. All right, we are now officially overtime. So we do have a bunch of questions that we didn't answer. What I'm going to do is try and capture those so that maybe we can put together a document or maybe a follow-up video that answers some of these questions. But I want to make sure we thank all of the panelists. Karen, thank you so much for moderating. You did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Sarah, Kimberly, Lucas, thank you guys. Thank you so much. And for all of you who joined us today, we really appreciate it. Come back later this week. We've got another one tonight. If you're first generation, come back. We've got some first generation students who will answer some of those questions for you. And then tomorrow, the ambassadors of Letters and Science are also hosting a panel where some of these kind of questions could be answered then. So come back then if you can. Otherwise, have a great night. Woo. And we are recording this, so we'll post the recording on our website in the next couple of days too. So, all right, you guys. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Karen, do you think we can answer the questions?
Just as by itself, or I mean, like on the typing answer thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they would receive it though.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
I think we will just compile a document. I think Mark will.
Yeah, Sarah, Karen, I'm going to. Yeah, I mean, if there are people still in the group, and there are still some folks in the session, but I'm gonna just do a screenshot, and then we can compile them and post them later.
Cool.
Sound good?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.